tutoring French to children and also to adults. Well, first of all, I'll start with giving you a bit of an overview of what French, Canadian French versus French French is. Basically, there are no real difference per se. In school, of course, Quebec is a French province. We do have a few English schools, but it's more derogatory. It's really the basic studies are always in French. The programs that we learn in school is basically the same program that you will learn in a French school. I actually studied primary school half in a French school when I was living abroad and in Canada, and I can tell you it's basically the same. We use the same references book. We have, of course, the same grammar rules and everything. So our written French is exactly the same. We even use, of course, we have our own reference book that were developed, like dictionaries and everything, but we usually simply refer to also French textbooks and dictionaries. For example, the Becherel, which is the main reference for verbs, especially and grammar, which is created by French people, is also used in Quebec. It's still the main reference as to grammar, French grammar. I would say the only, and it's very slight difference, would be maybe in the speaking. But of course, even within France, you have differences depending on the regions and everything. So it's a bit of the same idea in Quebec. We do have an accent, which is slightly different from French, but we understand French people, and French people still understand us. It's the same as to French, for example, in French Africa, and all around the world in other French-speaking countries, even within Quebec, depending on the region, because it's a very big province. We have different accents that can a bit vary from one region to another, just as it is in France too. But we still do understand each other. There may be some differences sometimes with expressions, which are, of course, created and grown into different regions. But once again, it's mostly, I would say, a regional thing, which is also present in France or throughout Quebec. Yeah, I would say regarding, I know that you have some questions regarding phonetics. I would say the standard French, there are no big differences. The one thing that we sometimes notice is we tend to put more accent or accentuate more the pronunciation that French do. French tend to speak with a very closed mouth. I can give you an example. For example, in France, for butter, you will say beurre. In Quebec, we will say beurre. We will open them out more. It's the same, for example, I can give you another example. For example, milk. In French, you would say lait, which is very, again, closed mouth. In Quebec, we will say lait. So we always tend to open them out more and really accentuate the pronunciation. But I mean, that's quite a small difference indeed. And of course, if you say lait and beurre, as French people say, people will understand you in Quebec. And normally, the opposite is also true, that French people will understand us. I would say, well, there's a bit of a small fight between sometimes French and Quebecers, because in Quebec we tend to think that French people use more Anglicism, because they use a lot of words like parking, shopping, Tupperware, and as in, in Quebec, we used, because we have very strict laws for French, because since we are surrounded by English speakers from United States and the other provinces. We have very strict laws as to, for example, the stores and everything that is like boards, billboards,